Hello, what is going on, everybody? It's Mustafa, and I hope you've all had a wonderful weekend as usual. We come back, it's the 4th of June 2017, and we're here with another market analysis video for this week. So, as usual, we start off with the Australian dollar. Not a lot of change in the Australian dollar. They are still above the zero line. The commercials are still long, and you can see when they were long here at these levels before, prices tend to rally from here. So, and we see that the small speculators are under the zero line by a lot. So that's also a very interesting trade. So I'm still bullish. I'm still bullish the Australian dollar. We did see uh, a bit of a dip, but it recovered. So I still think we're gonna go higher in the Australian dollar, unless we get otherwise. Unless we get if the commercials change their positions, we'll change with them. But for now, I'm long the Australian dollar. British pound. Uh, they're not as short as they were, but they're still fairly bearish. Um, This is still a bearish extreme, but they're not as short as they were last week. What I see here is that the small speculators have gone below the zero line, so that's kind of worrying. So this could be a trend change to the upside. So I'd look for one more dip on the pound, and I'd be a buyer. But we'll have to wait for more confirmation for next week, from next week too, and the week after, to see if they're actually buying this market. Canadian dollar, again, still extremely net long. This is crazy. Yes, they've been buying up this market. I don't think they've ever been this long before in a long time. So still bullish. Canadian dollar are still bullish on the Canadian dollar. Again, we need to talk about oil because it correlates with the Canadian dollar. But we see that there's not a lot of change from the small speculators. They're still shorting this Canadian dollar, but we see the commercials buying up this market very, very aggressively. So I do expect higher oil prices due to this. We'll come back to those. Euro. Again, they've been piling onto shorts for a long time, and it seems the small speculators have been buying up this market slowly. So I mean, this thing has been very, very resilient to go down. So I'd wait for a down candle to be printed if I want to short this pair, but I still think the euro will go lower. Again, you don't sell on upward candles. Okay, you just wait for a trend change, and you can get in because there's a long way down. It's not gonna happen, and it's not gonna flash crash down all the way to here. So you have a long way. So you wait for the trend change before you get in. So don't just rush. It's very difficult to find the top or bottom in the markets. But this is still short the euro. Japanese yen. Again, not a lot of change. This is still bullish, and I do think the yen will make one more pop all the way to here to fill this gap at some point. But we'll have to see how this plays out. And the small speculators are still way below the zero line. I mean, they're still short this market. So I do think we will go higher in the Japanese yen. Swiss franc. I think it's time to be bearish on the Swiss franc. The commercials were at extreme levels, but they've decreased their long positions, and small speculators have gone above the zero line, which is the longest they've been, I think, all year. So if you're a trader of the Swiss franc, whatever rally there is, I'd take profits if you are long US dollar index. Again, they're very slowly buying this market, but it's very difficult to call a bottom. Again, this has been also very resilient to go up, so we'll have to see some upward movement before we get in on the dollar on dollar buys. But I do think the dollar will go higher. I mean, if you see here, the commercials really shorted went heavy short on the dollar at around October. So they were selling into these rallies. They were selling into it, and you see now their positions are paying off. So they're closing out their positions. So what we need to do is we need to find a trend change. So we'll wait one more week for that to see what they do with this market. But I do think it will go may go all the way back to 96 or not, maybe even 95. Reaccumulate positions because they like to buy cheap commercials. So that's what could happen. Is they could be buying the dollar index very cheap, and it goes all the way back down here. So I do think we will see another dip and then a rally, but I'd wait. If you want to buy the dollar, I'd wait. Mexican peso. Again, this is just short. I'm just looking to buy the US dollar Mexican peso. I do think this still has a long way down, considering that the small speculators also have been piling on to buys. Commercials short. New Zealand dollar. We're not as long as we used to, and actually this looks like a short for the New Zealand dollar. Still long, but not as long as they were. So this is turned into a bullish. This is turned into a bullish into bearish now. So, and we see the small speculators buying up this market. So we'll see next week. Commitment of traders report what they're going to do. They're going to go above the zero line, but it seems like they're starting to short this market, and if you're a buyer, it could be time to take profits. And I'd sell rallies on the New Zealand dollar. Crude oil, my favorite. Again, the commercials haven't really changed from last week, but they are sort of short. We see the small speculators above the zero line, and I still think this will go a bit lower. I think we will see lower prices, maybe all the way to 46, for them to buy it even cheaper, and then we see the big rally. I still do think we will see a rally in crude oil, but when that's gonna happen, I think there's one more dip left in crude oil, maybe all the way to 46, and then we start the rally. I mean, we could start it from here, but I'd look for one more dip. Metals, gold. This is fairly short, gold. This is short, so we are about to fill this gap. I think we could touch a 1.3 level before going lower, because the commercials are going. It seems like they're going lower for the next for the last 2 weeks. So I'll see what happens with the yen, actually, because I expect the yen. The commercials are buying the yen, so it seems like gold may go a bit higher than its current levels, and then go lower, but not right now. I don't think it's going lower right now. So stock indexes, S&P 500. And we talked about this last week. We said be careful if you're a short seller. We will see one dip. Just be a buyer of that. Again, this is still a bull market, and this is what I've been saying for a long time. it's just a bull market. Same with the Dow Jones, same thing. It's a bull market, guys. However, whatever chance you get to buy cheap, go ahead. But buying the top, it scares some people. So you don't need to chase prices. They always retrace. There's always corrections eventually. So I'd wait for any dip to be a buyer in the Dow. Okay. Now let me talk about the pairs. Euro USD. I expect this to go lower as soon as we get a signal of a trend change. Possibly a fractal on the weekly would be wonderful. So we could go lower. We have been in overbought for a few weeks now, so we'll see what happens with that. However, I do think we will take out these highs. I think there's one more pop up before it goes down. But long term, I'm looking to sell this pair. Come back down here and fill this gap. Euro USD. USD JPY. I expect this to go lower, possibly to fill this gap all the way at let's check what that is. Around 109. Yeah. So we do have a gap to fill in the yen. So I do think we will fill this gap. Maybe this week or next week, but I'm positive we will fill this gap. Euro JPY, same thing. I expect this to short once Euro USD starts to short and USD JPY starts to short. This will be a terrific sell. But for now, don't fight the trend. Don't sell on upward candles. Wait for the trend change. Wait for the fractal. Wait for a double top fractal. One here, possibly, and then we could go lower. Pound AUD. Again, long term, I'm going to be buying the pound long term, but we could see lower prices on pound AUD for now, until we really get confirmation of a trend change from the commercials. But I'd be a buyer long term of the pound AUD, so I'd buy on dips. Just cheaper buys, my friends. What do we have here? USD Mexican peso. We see here a double bottom fractal. I do think we will go higher in the Mexican peso. My target still holds at 20. I think we will get there eventually, and we have had 2 up weeks in the peso, so this looks like a good opportunity to buy dips. Any lower prices, I'd be a buyer of the USD Mexican peso. I still firmly believe that this pair will go higher. Euro New Zealand dollar, we talked about this for weeks and weeks. This has done wonderful for us. This has shorted quite a bit, and still I do believe it will fill this gap down here. That's Euro New Zealand, and that's some pretty good pips right there. AUD NZD. I do think this will long. Again, it's not a very strong weekly open, but I think we're hitting a strong support level here. I think this will go higher. I still think this will go higher. Just find a way to get cheaper buys on this, again, because the commercials are long the Australian dollar, are now going short the New Zealand dollar. I do believe AUD NZD will go higher. AUD CHF, I do think this will also go higher. Australian dollar, Swiss franc, I think this will also go a lot higher from here, possibly all the way back here. What else did I have in mind? If we see any weakness in the pound, you could, and you see oil prices start to go higher, you could be a seller of the pound GBP CAD, pound Canadian dollar. You could be a seller of this, because the Canadian dollar will follow oil. If it goes up, it will go up, and the pound is still fairly at the short level. So I'm looking for one dip in the pound. So if you're trying to play this pound dip short term, you could sell the pound Canadian dollar short on the short term, but I'm a buyer of the pound long term. So those are the pairs, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching.